Alright. Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic / Non Classic. This is episode number 2375, 2475, and Doubleshot 2369. First up, we're discussing Daredevil 192 to 214. You're thinking, wait, that's like 23 issues. Well, these are basically kind of in a way story arcs, some of them anyways. Now, Frank Miller has left the book. Yep, he left with 191. He will not return to the book to, I think it was 215, I think it was, when he finally returns to the book. No, it was actually a little bit later. He does return at some point. Yes, he does. Was it 17 maybe? Because I remember he does return to the book at some point. Let me look it up here. Excuse me. So Frank Miller, okay, so in the case of Daredevil, he would not come back to book into issue 219 for a brief one-off, and he came back very briefly from 226 to 233, and he was done with the book. Who took over after he left? Denny O'Neil, of course. Yes, Denny O'Neil. And Denny O'Neil would have a very... how long run per se? About 3-year run the book. First issue we did book was issue 18 back in the frickin' 60s. Okay, so Danny did not do 192. He took over 194. This issue for 192, this is done by a guy by the name of Alan Barnett. Yeah, and this guy only did just this one issue. Yep, he did this one issue, and then he left, and he did then Larry Hama. I believe he just did one issue, and then of course Danny took over issue 184. Yeah, mostly put in the case of 290, 294. These are like 3 standalone issues. My guess is this is probably Denny O'Neil, probably trying to make sure the book comes on time, but after like a couple writers fill in, basically he takes to the book for the next few years, with exception of a few issues. And started with 186, so to take a slightly different direction. In 186, we have a guest star appearance by Wolverine. Yep. And then, of course, I think it was in the same issue, I think it was. I think it was, I remember, was it 93, 95? It was, well, 96 also debuted the character Darkwind, who sadly got killed off by issue 299. So, Wolverine had just previously appeared in his own brief solo miniseries. Yep. And his next appearance was back in X-Men. So basically, this is probably Denny. He probably asked Chris, hey, can I buy Wolverine for an issue? We're like, sure, why not? So he hops here for one issue, then he's back over to X-Men. My guess is they probably want to cash in on the popularity of the first line Wolverine. So, after 96, for the next 3 issues, Daredevil goes to Japan, where he meets a woman named Yuriko. Who is Yuriko, I might ask? Why, it's the future Lady Deathstrike, of course. Yep, he meets her. If you're curious, when did she become Lady Deathstrike? In issue Alpha Flight. Yes. So we have this really good story arc that goes on for a few issues. Mostly put, the reason why Yuriko is here is because basically Daredevil goes to Japan. And they want to cash on that miniseries, so let's have Daredevil go to Japan for like 3 straight issues. And the reason why he's going there is because he's hunting Bullseye. Yep. All did with Yakuza and, of course, Darkwind. Darkwind himself dies by issue 199. And then in 300, we actually have Bullseye getting defeated by Daredevil in a rematch, probably as payback for killing off Elektra, though it's not mentioned here. And of course, basically, Daredevil decides not to kill him, mainly because basically that's not what he does. Yep. And then after established 201, by 202 we're introduced a character named Malachi Synth. Who is this guy? Well, first, of course, for Bullseye, before I continue with that, his next appearance will be an issue of Alpha Flight, which I believe this is the issue where, let's see, yeah. So next time we see Bullseye is when, of course, Yuri becomes Lady Deathstrike. So 201, mostly fights off against we have Black Widow back in the book, who last appeared in the Champions book. Of course, she later popped up in Champion in Avengers. Yes, and then we have the assistant editor this month. We have debut of Malachi Sin. He's here. The debut of Horatio Piper and his 2 wives, Mara and Sarah. Yeah, from Africa and descendant of English nobility. So apparently, because of that, he has been given unofficially diplomatic immunity to do whatever heck he wants. Like, gets a car, he gets a like swanky apartment. Sadly put, he doesn't pop up again until 206 because, well, we have to deal with a guy named Trump for the next few issues. Yeah, he pops up here and then he pops up later in Captain America. After Trump is defeated, and then of course basically we deal with a guy named Crossbow. Yeah, Crossbow is hired by a different guy, which by all appearances, this guy is basically Marvel's version of Green Arrow. I mean, when I look at this guy, there's something he's apparently based upon the actor who played him in Robin Sherwood, which came out the very same year. Yeah, this guy is the creator of Luke McDonald. Yeah, and Crossbow appears in this issue here, and he doesn't appear in the next issue, because we have a debut of a character named Gel, who appears for this issue, and he pops up again He pops up again 216, 217. That was it for the character. Then 206 begins a very weird story arc with Malachi Sin. Yeah, in this particular story arc, he thinks he can do whatever heck he wants. He basically tries to form an alliance with Kingpin, falls apart. So he's like, and we see in his apartment there is this board with these spikes on it. And you're probably thinking, what the heck is that for? He explains that's for human sacrifices. Yep. So, basically, because Daredevil decides to, and then during the course of these issues, Malekith decides to start an affair with Deborah Nelson, Foggy Nelson's wife. From what I heard, a very abusive affair, because she got punched by him. Actually, like a slap. Yeah, and at the end of the story arc, basically, that Foggy and Deborah get divorced. She pops up again for one more issue after this, during the issue between some Frank Miller stuff, and she's never seen her from ever again. Yeah, and the reason why she's had to do this affair, because like at first she was against it. Like it's like, what the heck did Malachi really want this woman for? He has a wife. Why the heck? Why does he want to replace the dead wife who died at his debut appearance? So. Yeah, he starts doing his own stuff. At one point, Daredevil has to work with the Kingpin of Crime to take down this guy. So, because he formed this alliance, well, this is a convenience because Malekith had begun to kidnap Vanessa Fisk. Except the person he kidnapped was not Vanessa, but an actress hired to pose as her. Yep, also Becky Blake got kidnapped. Matt Murdock's current secretary. Yep. Which, here's a little fun fact. Not long after these issues, she disappeared and would never appear in the book ever again. And she will return when Kevin Smith wrote an issue, and then she became a regular character when Brian Michael Bendis wrote the book. Yep. So, and then basically, where Malekith, the Piper basically, he finds out about what the heck is going on with Malekith. So Malekith, as a thank you for bringing his company, he sacrifices him as a human sacrifice to his god. Yep. Piper gets killed off in the penultimate issue of the storyline, and then the storyline wraps up with issue number 214, where the guy is sobbing in the snow, and he's never heard from him again. Never arrested. He just basically is left there in the snow. Now, about appearance-wise, when I first saw this guy in the comic, because it's been sometimes I've read these issues, I thought this guy was Kraven the Hunter by all appearance. I'm sure he probably was going to be Kraven, but my guess is the Spider-Man editor probably told Denny, no, you can't use Kraven. You can use some appearance, but you cannot use Kraven the Hunter. And you're thinking, why couldn't you use Kraven the Hunter, might ask? Well, because basically, the way this character... Oh, by the way, we have a guest appearance in 207 by Hydra. Yes, frickin' Hydra. Yeah, it was basically for 207, 208. Yeah, then basically by 209 they kind of wrap that story arc up, and then basically Malachi was brought back in the book. Along with Crossbow, who get basically taken out here. Yeah, then we first appearance of Akal, who's this mute guy who appears for these issues and he's gone. We also appearance by Gloria Breen. Who's Gloria Breen, may I ask? Why, she's a woman who actually once dated Matt Murdock, who got killed off with a story arc that the writer basically hated. Yeah, killed by a guy called Victor Crawler. G.G. Sester created this guy, but he wanted nothing to do with this story because it was so bad. Yeah, where it became the only comic book ever in comic book history where the writer basically decided to discredit himself and use the name Alan Smithy. Yeah. By the time she appeared in that book, she was kind of in the way been a regular character in the book. She made her debut in 205, which is during these issues, and she's here for quite a while until she decides to leave after the 256, pop a few more times, and that was it for her. Sadly. Yep. Yeah, eventually, of course, the guy is defeated by, like I mentioned, 214, and never heard from her again. Which I hope that basically after this story, Daredevil hands this guy off to the police officers, tells them that, hey, this guy's been committed human sacrifice. Basically, this guy committed first-degree murder. He murdered basically the guy who sponsored him. So I'm hoping he went off to jail for it. I hope so. Also, I also got to bring up the Daredevil Japan issues. You have Foggy thinking what Matt's up to, and Deborah's like, go to sleep, Franklin. And eventually she gets like, he's like, okay, I'll go to sleep. I thought that was quite funny. Yes, very interesting issues per se. I definitely think that from 196 to 200, those issues are really good. I'm gonna give those particular ones I'm giving those a 10. 182, 185, get these ones an 8. Nothing against Larry Hama, but the issue was okay. 201 was the issues for I think it was like 201 and 207, 209 were quite interesting. The Malekith issues, oh boy, these issues. It's almost like, what was the point of these issues? The whole saga basically takes up basically 202, 206, and I think it was 210 to 214. Yeah, it's almost like, my guess is the reason why the storyline was dropped after 214. My guess is because the book probably was probably, and this is my theory anyways, I think maybe the writers were getting complaints from the readers, like, man, they probably didn't care for him at all, so they probably decided to wrap this up quickly. Do I think that there could have been more here? No, there couldn't be. Like, where it wrapped up, it should have wrapped up issue 2 prior to this, because this story arc was not that good. It was terrible. Like, you ruin a character's marriage. You have basically you have Matt Murdock nearly get discredited for representing a savage who is a freaking murderer. And the fact this guy thinking what the heck he wants. Yes, though I do like Danny O'Neill issues, but I don't care for the issues that featured Malik. I thought those issues were pretty bad. That's my opinion, anyways. Alright, moving on to Luke Cage. Oh, come on, seriously. Come on, back up. No. Thank you. Okay. Marvel Masterworks, Luke Cage, Power Man, Volume 2. Which collects issues 17 to 31 of Power Man. So, with the opening 2 issues of this book, he takes on Iron Man. Yep, Luke Cage takes on Iron Man. Yep, that's kind of what he does for the opening 2 issues of this book. Yeah. Iron, of course, last appeared in Iron Man 66, and I think he's just here for 1 issue. And then we deal with a guy called Sleepjack. Yeah, mostly we deal with some one-shot villains, and then we see issue 19, debut of Cottonmouth. Another familiar Luke Cage villain who still occasionally appears this very day. Cottonmouth made his first appearance he was mentioned in issue 18. 19 was his first full appearance. Yeah, he's still very much around. Yeah, he's here for 19, 20, and 23. And that's it for him. Yeah, he appears for these 2 issues, and he's never seen again. And he's a classic Luke Cage villain. Like, what? Yeah, really. Yeah, and also, we also have a guest appearance issues by Boss Morgan. He's only here for a couple issues and he's gone. And he's like appearing in other books. And then 21 and 22, we have Luke Cage versus Eric Johnson. Power Man, yep. Who appears here for these 2, for basically 1 issue, where he basically gets the crap beat out of him. Of course, Theater gets destroyed because of it. And then the very next issue, we deal with Soleto and Discus, who turned out to be the sons of the former warden of Seagate Prison. Which, of course, basically, so he basically appeared for issue 16, he popped up in 22, and then he popped up again for issue 15 of this book. And he popped up for 110, and that was it for him. He basically was very sporadic. Discus, his brother, would next appear in the following issue. Yep. And, of course, basically, Claire decided to leave the book, and you have basically Luke Cage looking for her first stop at Security City, which we have the return of Golden Mace, who last appeared back in Hero for Hire number 3. So yeah, first appearance in 2 years. His next appearance will be to issue 43, roughly 3 years later. Yeah, and of course Dave Griffin's in these issues. And then by 24 and 25, basically, these are Luke Cage versus basically Black Goliath. Then 26 takes on Night Stalker. Yeah, one-shot character. And Hazel Donovan, another one-shot character. It's kind of like, okay, let's have Luke Cage fight a one-shot character, 1 issue. And I fight a guy called The Man Called X. X the Marvel. And he appears for 2 issues. His next appearance being in a miniseries I will discuss future. Cage. Yep. And then by 28, we have Cockroach Hamilton, a hitman, who after this issue appeared in issues 30 and 31. And here's something quite strange though. He would not make his next appearance until Terror Incorporated number 6, released back in the 1990s. So yeah, basically between appearances, it was roughly 16 years. Yeah. Also, the guy who basically gave the formula. Yeah, for some reason, the writer decided to become a recurring character in this book. Like, he's here for the opening few issues. issue said he's here for a lot when it was here for hire. Then by the time it became Power Man, he basically is like a regular supporting character in the book. He does skip a few issues, but he comes back for 28, then he comes back full time for 33 mostly, and then he gets written out book by around issue 100. Yep. Then 29 basically takes on a guy called Mr. Fish, who appears for just this issue, and he does appear again to basically Deadpool Volume 5, number 13. And he also references a guy called Strike, who is a one-shot character, a kid. And the joke is no one left Mr. Fish. Heck, the guy even said in the freaking book. Yeah, and then Cockroach Hamilton makes his return. Pariah Jones makes his debut. Though he himself basically is... Well, he's only in these 2 issues, and he pops up again in Terror Incorporated. Yeah, it's kind of weird, though. Like, yeah, let's basically have 2 characters in these 2 books, and the next appearance won't be until 16 years later. Yeah. There's also a new character named Quentin Chase. Yeah, he's actually here as a supporting character until issue 35. So yeah, he's around for a few more issues and he's done. Yep. Oh, and the writers for these issues, I forgot to mention that. The writers of these issues are Lee Wein for issues 17, 19, and 21. There's also mention here of the... I think it was this book here that they do bring up the events of Defenders. Yes, I think it was Defenders Volume 17. Defenders 17, you'll see. Yeah, I'm surprised they bring them up in the fact they bring up the Demolition Men in these issues. So basically, after this, you appear, well, in Power Man 22. Yeah, that basically be his next appearance. Power Man 22, that'd be the next appearance. I had to bring that up there. So Tony Isabella takes over a few issues. He does issues 20 to 25, though he does issue 20 with Lee Wein. Don McGregor does 28, 30, 31. Bill Mansell does 25, 27, 29. He also does with George Perez. And 26 is done by Steve Eckhart. George DaCosta does almost all the issues in this book. He does 17, 20, 24, 26, 20, 29. 21, 23, and 25 is Ron Wilson. George Perez is 27. He does the art for that one. And, of course, he just did the art for that one. 30 has 2 artists, Rich Buckler, Arvil Jones. They won the artists by Iron Fist. And Sal Bushnell for issue 31. This book came in a time period of February 1974 and concludes in May of 1976. Basically about 2 years with the comics. Yep. But yeah, so for Luke Cage Power Man, 1 more of these and then moving on to Power Man and Iron Fist. For Daredevil, with the very next one, when I finish the Power Man, that'll be the end of Daredevil. Yep. But yeah, that's particularly it, particular view, and that's going to be a video tonight, sadly. Stay tuned for tomorrow for my reviews for, and I'm going to pronounce this way, Baku Ranger. Not the way the guy pronounced it, because basically the guy complained I didn't pronounce it correctly. 3 animated videos, and 1 comic corner. Okay, next view. Bye.